Hello, you did it. You survived week 1 of anatomy. 15 more weeks to go. You did an analysis of body regions. You did a very good discussion on study habits, and I like playing your game for finding the body region using directional terms. Your histology all looked good. I commented on some of your drawings. If I didn't comment, I apologize. I liked getting to know you in all of your discussions, and you did very well last week. Now, there were some technical hiccups. The biggest technical hiccup I was worried about was that you guys couldn't access the pictures on the assessment that was due on Friday for the body regions. And I've been doing that for about 4 years now, so I don't know what the problem was. But for those of you who had trouble, and for those of you who did not have trouble, take the practice test for the lab exam to make sure you can view the images on the practice test. Because I'm worried next week when you do the lab exam, you won't be able to see anything. So we are on week 2. This is my first of 2 emails for you. So we're going to do module 2, week 2. I could either go to modules and scroll all the way down, or I could just click week 2, the skin and cell. Now I am going to go over lecture 3, tissue, lab 3, tissue. And I'll stop putting the chapters later on. I figured you don't have the textbook, that might be confusing to you, but it's on this one. And again, I want to point out these are the supporting documents. So you have to go to the lecture page, and then these are actually linked into it. So same thing for the lab. You are linked into it. So discussion, epithelial upload, connective tissue. You have to read the page to see the instructions. So we're doing tissue for lecture. So this is the page, and watch all the videos. Try to answer the questions as you go. For the epithelial tissues, part 3 and part 4, I will give you the characteristics of one of the epithelial tissues, such as a single flat layer of cells, and you have to tell me what it is. For the connective tissues, part 4 and part 5, you need to tell me the characteristics of the tissues, but you also need to tell me where they're found. So dense irregular connective tissues found in dense irregular connective tissues found in the dermis and wrapping around organs. Dense regular connective tissue is found around tendons, in tendons. So, part 1, we're talking about cellular junctions and tissues. I'll have, I think, 2 questions asking you about the junctions, maybe 3 questions about the junctions. For the epithelial tissue, you also need to know the characteristics of the epithelial tissue. In the face-to-face class, I make it a 7-point essay question. What are the 5 characteristics of epithelial tissue? For the connective tissue, you also have to know what the characteristics are. And we'll talk about nervous and muscle tissue. There's going to be 1 question on that on the test. Now, part 7 here, that is body membranes. In some books, it's in with the tissues. The textbook we're supposed to use is in with the tissues. In other textbooks, it's in with the skin. If you're feeling you're running out of time, just do this on Wednesday or Thursday. Wednesday, Thursday lecture is a short lecture, while this is 7 parts. So take notes as you go. On this last page, the what's next page, it has a follow-up. I'm going to have you do stuff in the lab book. Do the flow chart for connective tissue and epithelial tissues. And that's to help you more for the lab exam than the lecture exam. And while you're doing that, I want unique characteristics of all the connective tissues. What's a characteristic that'll help you for dense regular, dense irregular? Don't spend too long on this, spend maybe 15 minutes. It's more intended to be a study aid and to help reinforce things. And you don't have to even use my flowchart, use your own. You could do your own flowchart as well. It's, again, to help you organize. Lastly, because part 1 is on the junctions, I want you to make a table defining them. You could do a drawing defining them, just something to help you. Now, I have additional videos. Feel free to watch these if you want. They're videos I would normally show in class, but we don't have to watch them. So, for lab 3, click the instructions. All of these are hot linked in the instructions, okay? So, clicking on the instructions. And I don't have fancy tabs for you. Basically, what you would do in class is look at 12 tissues, draw 12 tissues, label 12 tissues, and get out at 4 o'clock for a class that started at 8 in the morning. It's not their very long lab. So in the actual announcement I'm sending out, I'll even suggest splitting it, do Monday epithelial tissues, both the lecture and lab, Tuesday the connective tissues. So I've done this lab many different ways. What I want you to do is I want you to go to these 6 web pages and look at all 6. Then I want you to draw 3 of them. My drawing instructions for all 6 are there. And doing screen captures. For the screen captures, what a lot of students do is that they just use their phone. They then do edit photo, and all I want is what type of tissue it is. Do you get the hint that this might be a study tool for you guys also, so you can quiz yourself on the different tissues? Hint, 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 hint. Now, then connective tissue. I want you to look at all 6 of them, draw 3 of them, screen capture 3 again, just screen capture on your cell phone, put the label on with the editing. So that is what the first 2 parts are. Part 1, epithelial, 6 of them. Part 2, the connective tissues. Now you could do the drawings in your lab book, or you could do it on another sheet of paper. I would like color for the drawings though. Okay. Part 3, we're going to have a discussion. I will actually save that for a second. Part 4, you're going to go to this webpage. And what I do for the checkout for this is that I have the tissues on the back counter of the lab. And I ask students to identify what those tissues are. And it serves 2 purposes. 1, I see, do they understand it? 2, it makes students realize that they need to study for the lab quiz, which opens in 2 days and closes in 9 days. So you click on here, and it's a drag and drop activity. I know how to do exactly one thing in HTML code. So simple squamosal, I'll give it away. Thin, flat cells, so you drag it in there. And you'll do a screen capture. Just so I know that you did it, there is the answers. And you could actually go to the connective tissue page here. So again, you're dragging. And I can do this all without moving things. So there's a blank space here. There's 2 tissues here. So these tissues are all mixed up. So I can get it done by only moving each tissue once. See if you guys can do that. That is your challenge. If you don't do it only moving everything once, don't tell me. I'll assume you did. So your screenshots of that, your 3 epithelial histology drawings, 3 connective histology drawings, and your screen captures, upload them here. Now, you could put them all on a Word document. It's easier for me, but you don't have to. I haven't decided what is easier actually for you, just because it takes time to put them all in the Word document, but you don't have to click on upload. Now, our discussion is going to be on tissues. How can we discuss tissues? We're doing therapy. Topic 1, choose 2 histology slides. One you liked a lot, one you hated. And try to copy it into the discussion as well. Explain why you liked one of them, you hated one of them. So therapy. And my actual goal of this is just giving you a collection of histology slides so you can see all the variations, because in the lab test in 9 days, I'm going to give you a picture of a histology slide and say, which tissue is this? Repeated 8 times. Then, how do you plan to study histology? What do you use to plan to study? We had a very good discussion about study habits. I'm pretty sure we're going to have some similar things. So here's my example of what I love and what I hate. So I love nervous tissue. I love the multipolar neuron. I know people who drew cute multipolar neurons I commented on. If I didn't comment on your multipolar neuron last week, don't feel bad. I have 90 students. I didn't comment on everybody. So I love it. I love the colors. I love the shapes. It's really cool. We have not met this tissue. We will not meet this tissue for 6 more weeks. I loathe this tissue. It is smooth muscle. I hate it with a passion. So I explain why I hate it. So you'll get this idea. Now I'm going to click reply to this. And you guys did a good job cutting and pasting into the boxes. Now another thing you could do I could use the Embed Image tool. So I Google search transitional epithelial, of least favorite of students. Here's the picture behind my picture. I am going to command click or right click. I am going to copy image address. I'm going to go back to our discussion. Actually, I click that button, Control V. I'm going to click OK or update, and it'll paste it in there. So that's another way. So lastly, we have our first lab exam. It opens in 2 days. It closes in 9 days. So I wanted to give you time for it. I kept moving it back because most labs, you have a whole lab period between when it opens and when you finish the lab and when you actually have to take the quiz. If you notice on the bottom of each lab page, there's a study guide. And there are study guides if you just go to the module page. So I said there it's 888, that's 24, and there's only 20 questions. So I'm pretty sure it's 8 histology, 8 body regions, and then it will be 4 on the cell. And that actually seems rather short, so I think it's 776. So here are the links again to all those tissues. I think it's the same web pages, but I Google search these. And again, if one of these is broken, tell me. So what you do, you mouse over, it tells you what it is. So I want you guessing what all these tissues are. Dense irregular connective tissue, simple cuboidal connective tissue. Because that's how your test is going to be. I'm going to give you a picture, and it's going to be one picture at a time, and I'll ask you what the tissue is. So this study guide is actually made to help you study. Now, I don't have a study guide for tissues on here, but if you go to the homepage of the labs, if you go to the first homepage, click Models with Answers. This first one, Lab Quiz 1, I have the regional anatomy and the cell anatomy all for you. Those are the activities you did. So you could also study. So there's probably going to be 4 organelles for you. There's going to be 2 phases of mitosis, so that's 6. So it's probably 776 on the test. So email me, come to my student contact hours. I am actually missing a meeting for my daughter's school on Monday for my student contact hour. So please come and have a good day.